Hey friends, I'm not trying to change the way you guys eat, okay? Everyone can eat how they want to eat, okay? But I just want to share my experience with you guys for what it's worth, okay? So, for those of you guys who don't know, I've been a low-fat, high-carb vegan for 6 years. And the first 4 years of that time, I was 100% overt fat-free. Okay, I mean 0 nuts or seeds or 0 coconut, 0 avocados, okay? 0 oils. And the reason for that was I was on the Gerson therapy for the first 3 years, and Max Gerson's version of it, not Charlotte Gerson's version of it, where she introduces flaxseed oil after his... She introduced flaxseed oil after his death, okay? And she also introduced a lot more vitamin supplements into the therapy, which I think are toxic, the flaxseed oil and the supplements. But anyway, that's just my opinion. And because that's what Max found when he was alive, that if he introduced any oils into a cancer patient, or like a lot of the vitamin supplements, they made his cancer patients sicker. And he would test the therapy on patients based on like skin cancers, whether they got bigger or smaller, right? So that's how he tested his therapy, okay? So basically he would... Yeah, so based on all that, his patients had to be almost vegan. He did allow a little bit of fat-free dairy, but very minute compared to all the rest, just fruits and vegetables and oats and potato, okay? And fresh juices and coffee enemas, okay, with very few supplements. Anyway, that's getting off topic. But, and these patients didn't die with a fat-free diet. They recovered from terminal cancer. And I mean, there's some patients in here that literally were wheeled in unconscious, and they with brain tumours, and they recovered, okay? It's just amazing. And there's a documentary on YouTube called Dying to Have Known, and that talks a bit about the results from Gerson therapy. Anyway, so then, and people, because I see so many people talking about healthy fats, and I honestly believe that I ate a lot of fat. I ate a high fat diet before I got sick, and I honestly think that the high fat and the vitamin supplements are what contributed to making me susceptible to illness. Anyway, so there's also a doctor called Coldwater. A lot of you guys would know him. He wrote this book, Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease. He's the doctor that got, one of the doctors that got the ex-president of the USA. What's that guy who had an affair with Monica Lewinsky? I remember her, but I forget his name. Anyway, he had to go fat-free vegan to reverse his heart disease, okay? And so Coldwater Esselstyn, to like, some of his heart disease patients had 5 bypasses, okay, and it still didn't fix or 5 heart attacks. It's in the documentary Forks Over Knives, okay, and that still didn't fix their heart problems. And then they would get sent to Coldwater Esselstyn, and he would keep them alive for, like, I think the study went for 15 years, right? So keep them alive, and the rule was overt, fat-free, vegan, high-carb diet, okay? And, like, instead of those patients dying, they thrived, like, for 15 years plus, because they're still alive today. So they've been doing overt, fat-free, vegan diets for more than 15 years, and it's keeping them alive, okay? So you don't need to eat healthy fats. If anything, my opinion is they're not always healthy, okay? And if you look at on nutritionfacts.org and you look up coconut oil, or you look up avocados on YouTube, basically the science says that actually avocados actually aren't really that good for you if you just check that out. And same with coconut oil, okay? So and then similarly, John McDougall, okay, his rule is on the starch solution. Now he helps people reverse their multiple sclerosis, cancer, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, okay, all with an overt, fat-free, high-carb vegan diet, okay? So, and he's very passionate about the fats, okay? He's no oils, and he says you don't need fats in your, like any overt fats in your diet to thrive, because, excuse me, the thing is that, and like he's reversing people's disease with overt fat-free diet. So this idea that we really need healthy fats to be healthy, and we need fat to absorb vitamins, you know, we need some fat in our diet to absorb vitamins and all that. Well, people forget that every food contains fat. Even lettuce has fat in it. Kale is 1% fat. Chard has fat in it. Potatoes have fat in it, okay? And also, like, and I discussed this in another video, people are paranoid about carbs because they make you fat. So how does that work? Because, you know, carbs are mostly fat-free, okay? So what the body is doing is it's taking the food, the carbs that you eat, it's taking all the foods you eat, and it's breaking down those nutrients in the food that you eat, and then it converts some of those nutrients to the fat that it most prefers for your body, okay? So it has the ability to convert non-fats into fats, okay? And another example of this is if you look at the largest animals that walk on the earth, like elephants, giraffes, even, like I've discussed this in the other video, cows and horses, and if you look at gorillas, these are all herbivore animals. All they eat is grass and leaves and vegetation, right? And look at the size of them. And if you eat a grass-fed cow, if you cut it up, you can see that it has fat in its body. So where did that fat come from? All the cow is doing is eating grass, right? So the grass may have some fat, but basically the cow is taking whatever is in grass and all the nutrients it's getting from the grass, and then or whatever it's eating, and then it's converting those, you know, those nutrients into the type of fat that its body most prefers. And actually you can see this firsthand if you look at cow fat from a grass-fed cow and a grain-fed cow. The fat is different. If you look at a grass-fed cow fat, it is yellow, and it's because the cow has made a different type of fat from the grass that it's got, right? But if you take a grain-fed cow where it's gotten soybeans and like more high fat, whatever it's being fed, that fat tends to be white, and it has a different chemical structure, okay? So, and everybody knows that, you know, in terms of nutritional content, the grass-fed cows are healthier to eat. Do you know what I mean? And the fat is a better quality in the grass-fed cows. So, and that's what I say, that I say that if I'm going to get fat, I'd rather get fat eating carbs or non-fat foods than getting fat from eating fats, because from eating high-fat food, right? And that's what John McDougall says, is that, you know, you can analyze people's fat in their body and you can tell what kind of food they're eating, like what kind of fats they're consuming, right? So I have faith that my body knows the type of fat that it most wants. So if I just give it, and I think about it like this, like when I feed it non-fat foods, like they are much, and that's what Max Gerson says, that the fats and the oils are much more difficult for a sickened body to process. If you're healthy, obviously it's not going to affect you as adversely, but I just think that whatever's no good for a sickened body can't necessarily really be optimum nutrition for a healthy body anyway, even though, you know, it is pleasurable to eat high-fat foods.
So, yeah, so, like, especially when you're sick, you know, obviously you help the body along by reducing the burden on the body, and reducing the burden on the body is to keep overt fats out of the diet so it doesn't have to process that fat and try and make use of it, okay? And, I mean, how many people, I mean, if you really look at the nutritional contents of oils, they're really very low in nutritional content, because everything, all the goodness is being taken out of, like, all the olives, all the fibers, the vitamins and minerals, all that's been taken out. All you've got is just this concentrated source of liquid fat, okay? It's actually quite disgusting. And if you, like, take any oil, coconut oil, olive oil, and you just put it on your skin, like, how difficult is it to absorb through the skin? I mean, it just stays there for ages. And I mean, when you cook with fat in your saucepans and stuff, how hard is it to get off those saucepans? Like, you need to then use detergents and stuff to get that fat off the saucepans. And I actually honestly, like, think, and this is not science, this is just me thinking about it logically, if I was consuming an oil, I actually think that if you look at how oil can be a barrier on your skin on the outside, I think if you're consuming oil on the inside, it can be a barrier in your intestines and maybe inhibit the ability of your body to absorb other nutrients efficiently. Okay, because look, this is just my opinion, but I mean, why are all these doctors that have proven over and over and over and over again with thousands of patients that they are reversing chronic diseases, like, with overt fat-free vegan diets, but with particularly overt fat-free diets, right? And that's what Neal Barnard says. He says that in terms of type 2 diabetes, he actually says it's not sugar that's creating the problems. It's actually all the fat that clogs up the receptors in the body and makes the pancreas inefficient. So he talks about it like chewing gum in a lock. You know, he talks about the fat being like chewing gum in a lock. He says if you want your pancreas to start working again, you clean out the fat, or you take the chewing gum out of the lock, and then you can stick in the key and turn the key and it works again. Okay, so and like, people might say to me, well, okay, yeah, you say that about cows and horses and gorillas, but they're not humans. And I say, okay, yeah, that's cool, I get ya, but they're still taking the same raw ingredient, which is the grass or the leaves or the vegetation that they're eating, right? So, and they're still getting something from that raw ingredient of those grass and leaves and whatever still has that basic nutrients in it to then be able to, for them, the cow, the horse, the gorilla, whatever, to then be able to utilize those in the body to convert to fat, okay? So, and I think it's the same for a human body. Like, actually, the thing is now, for me, for the last 2 years, yes, I have been through periods where I've binged on avocados, and, you know, I've eaten pumpkin seeds, and I've had a coconut here and there, but most of the time, like 95% of the time, not even 99% of the time, like the majority of my life, the last 2 years, I have still been overt fat-free vegan, okay? And only with benefits. In fact, if I eat too many overt fats of any type, even nuts, like I bought some hazelnuts a couple of months ago, and I just had like 4 or 5 a day, but I started to feel pretty shitty, really, compared to normal, like after a week or so, you see? So that's just me, but because it just, you know, bogs me down a bit. Just that's just me, you know. So yeah, so I'm just looking at my notes here. Oh yeah, and that's the other thing I wanted to mention before I go, and that is, if you think about us, like if we were out if we didn't live in this manufactured, fabricated society that we have, like these first world countries, like if we lived like the natives live, like, you know, in say the Amazon jungle, or you know, Papua New Guinea, or you know, these really primitive tribes that still exist in the world. I mean, in their environment, in the forest, they have really limited access. They wouldn't have like nuts on demand or avocados on demand from all around the world for the whole year. They might have, you know, maybe a tree in the forest that produces some kind of nut for like maybe 1 month of the year, so they'd have access to that overt fat for maybe 1 month of the year. And then, you know, what do they eat for the rest of the year? Well, you know, obviously they're probably eating small animals and stuff also, because, you know, they're not vegan. They just eat whatever they can. But, you know, so think like, or take animals, take these large elephants and other animals in the forest, okay, that are vegan or are herbivores. You know, let's take them. You know, they might have access to like a nut or a high fat or an overt fat food for maybe 1 or 2 months of the year, right? And then the rest of the year they don't have any access to overt fats, you see. So, you know, that we need healthy fats to thrive and for our body to do the best. It's honestly, in my experience, for me, it's wrong. It's just not even logical, actually. And that's why, like, I don't really believe a lot of what I hear unless I experiment with myself, because, like, I've been in science before I got sick for quite a few years. I was a research assistant when I lived in Switzerland. Like I said, I've done the Masters in Engineering. So, and I can tell you now, and you see it all the time, that people can design studies and present outcomes like however they really want. Like, studies are really easily manipulated to produce a result that sounds convincing, but it's not really. So, you know, if you just scratch the surface a bit, dig a bit deeper, you just, you know, what do they say? Causation doesn't mean correlation doesn't equal causation, or something like that. So, anyway, well, I hope that this has been interesting for you, and thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you later. Rainey wants to come and say goodbye too. Hey, goodbye, Rainey. Okay, I'll see you guys later.